Hey guys. So, a couple of weeks ago I was at SUPAKART and I made a video on them expressing my opinion on what I thought about the track, the day and the experience. And they didn't like it. They didn't like it one bit. Because of this, I'm going to make this video to talk you through all the points I made in that video and exactly why I made them and why they're honest and they're the truth. Like, everything I'll show you is footage I caught on the day, and that's just my honest opinion on the track, and above all else it is just my opinion. But first, let's take a dive into the comments on my original video and see what SUPAKART and their employees left as some feedback on the video itself. I wanted to start with an email that another driver from the actual event received after the event concluded, and I also want to point out real quickly that RappiKart and me, being an independent content creator, are entirely separate. SUPAKART believe that everybody in RappiKart are sort of linked together. No, we buy into that championship effectively to race in it and have fun, and we're not all together in that way. So SUPAKART does a lot of this sort of grouping us together, you'll notice, as the video goes on and the comments go on. But no, I'm an independent content creator. It even says it in the video itself at the end, and even in the YouTube description it says that I'm an independent content creator, not attached to any other entity.
Firstly, your booking was originally for 13. You then told us last minute that there would be 24 drivers. We had to customize a package to fit your drivers in the time allocated on the track with no premium charged.
So in this first email, they first talk about having more drivers than originally planned, going from 13 to 24, which, I mean, that's only an increase of 11 drivers, but has nothing to do with me, so it's no point talking about that. What's interesting though is that second point on the customize a package for the drivers. And it's interesting because the format they chose made no sense whatsoever. So the original format was to have a practice and a qualifying followed by a 20-minute grid started race where your best lap time decided the final grid for a 10-minute final grid started race, and this just made no sense to us. We questioned this because it just sounded silly to have a 20-minute qualifying session effectively. So all we asked was for the 20-minute race to set the grid for the final race. That wasn't a huge demand. That's just all we asked on the day, so it was hardly a belligerent demand at most.
The karts did not break down. One kart ran out of fuel and the driver got out on track, which is an instant disqualification.
So what SUPAKART are referring to here is this incident in which a kart was not fueled at all and essentially went off the line and just wasn't driving anywhere. I mean, look at it, the car is just being overtaken left, right and centre and it cannot keep towards anyone on the track. And that's the track's fault. The track's fault to not fuel the kart. I mean, they just said in that email there that the kart ran out of fuel. It's the track's responsibility to fuel the karts. I mean, a go-kart track that fuels the karts so they can actually drive, and that's a failure on the track's part. As for the driver getting out on track, I mean, that is next to pit lane, so the driver, obviously disgruntled that they can't run out of fuel, just left by the pit lane and was instantly disqualified for getting out of the car regardless. So there's nothing much else to say on that. The car ran out of fuel. Here's an email to prove it. That's it. That's literally it.
I would like to take this opportunity that whenever there is a booking with RappiKart, someone has to moan.
I'm just going to leave this up here as, I mean, there's no reason to tar everyone with the same brush, RappiKart. So this is just one email and this is just one YouTube video. There was just absolutely no point to leave this in there for no reason. It's just plain rude. So I loaded the YouTube video and a little bit of time passed and I received a reply in the YouTube comments from the track itself, SUPAKART Newport. And let me tell you, this reply is an absolute work of art. But let's go through it one by one and pick apart the points and see what they got to say for themselves.
AWW bless. You forgot to mention you work for a rival track.
Listen, SUPAKART, I have never, and I am not currently employed by Team Sport in any way, shape or form. And in your first response, this is the first thing you lead with. You lead with this into your response to a customer. Unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. It's almost laughable, actually, of an entry. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Team Sport. I really like Team Sport. I think they're a great brand, and I do race at their tracks a lot around the country. But I don't work for them, so yeah.
The pedals are standard Sodi fitment, but clearly a boy of your supreme intellect and experience would know that.
I don't think it takes a supreme intellect to show you, Supercar, that these pedals are floppies. I mean, look at them. They're just flopping around. And then when you were driving them, it just felt horrible to drive. You'd put your foot on it, and you just wouldn't feel much. And then you'd have to really stamp on it, and then you'd get the feeling. And I've driven in these sort of karts a lot, so I would know that firsthand. I mean, here's a clip of the pedals being bad, and then I tell you they're bad. Like, there's nothing to change there.
I also find it odd that you omitted the fact that you have returned to SUPAKART for many years, but due to your belligerent demands, we advised your group not to return.
I mean, don't get ahead of yourself, Supercar. I only been there like once or twice before, so like, don't get too excited. I wasn't one of your regulars. But I'm more interested in the belligerent demands part. I mean, is it really hard to ask, instead of a 20-minute grid-started qualifying, we actually have a race? Because this format made absolutely no sense. You've got to understand that. So all we did was ask for something to be a bit more logical, and a bit more of a racing format. And I don't believe those are huge demands. They're just very basic and at the box. So it makes no sense to me.
You clearly have the talent to race professionally, so I would suggest you purchase your own kart and race on international circuits, as I have done.
I mean, I have no words for this statement. I'm very flattered that you said I've got the talent to race professionally. I'll probably smoke you any day, no matter what, any track, any time. Always remember that. And he recommends I should purchase my own car and race on international circuits, just like he has done. I mean, this is a real response. Like, this track and this person actually wrote this in the comment section of the video. And I just find it absolutely bewildering. And the confidence they have to write something like that is beyond me.
Just make sure your pedals are up to spec. Kind regards. Darren, 26 years in karting and counting Yoon.
I notice in a lot of Superkarts reviews they like to remind you how many years they've been in business, and I mean, it just means nothing. It means absolutely nothing how many years you've been in business. And almost it actually does the opposite. If you've been 26 years in business and you still get the same things wrong, especially talking to customers, there's definitely something going wrong there. So, like, once again, there was just no need to add that in. It's a weird flex, but okay. So I responded to Supercar, and firstly told them I do not work for Team Sport, because I don't. And as I said, seriously, I do not work for Team Sport. And the video is subjective. You cannot deny any claim I made in this video, because I mean, I showed you on screen. Every claim I made in the video, I was showing you on screen what I was meaning by that. I wasn't faking it, or I wasn't like lying about it. I was showing you on screen that there were these issues. I mean, that is my opinion on them. That's fair use in that term. I was just giving you my opinion on the track. I didn't have a great experience, and that's what it was. And then one more time, I told them I do not work for Team Sport. Now that's key. Notice there I said twice in this response, I do not work for Team Sport. And I also reminded him one more time, just in case they missed the end of the video and the video's description, that I'm an independent content creator. In addition to this, I left one more comment just detailing a couple of things I was frustrated with on the day, fully expecting them to come back and say, well, these are issues and we'll look into them and we'll do better next time, because we're sorry they ruined your experience, and I was willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. And then they responded with this.
Straight. Industrial espionage is a skill, lad. Next time, you may want to keep it to yourself that you work for a competitor.
I work for a competitor? Supercar, I just told you in my previous response that I do not work for Team Sport, and you're still accusing me of this. Also, why are you calling me a lad? I'm not your friend. Why are you trying to be so patronising towards me without addressing the issues that I have raised in the video and the comments themselves?
Please refer back to our initial email that stated your group were no longer welcome at SUPAKART.
Once again, we're not necessarily a group, but we were all individually paying into an Arrive and Drive championship that has nothing to do with this video. So it sounds a bit harsh to outright ban everyone who was a part of that event.
The gaping chasm you are referring to is no more than a board defect approximately 1 inch in diameter. Were you concerned that you would spiral through it?
It's still a hole on the second floor of a racetrack. All you had to do was recognise that this is a defect and assure us that it would be repaired. But instead you decided to once again play the patronising card towards me and ask me if I was scared I was going to fall through it. This is what I mean about poor responses. This sort of comment just does not help the situation and causes communication to become more blurred and just more toxic. I can acknowledge the fact that things do break and wear and tear does happen, but I merely pointed it out. I'm not wrong. There is a hole in the track, and that's honestly all there is to that point.
SUPAKART is renowned for its challenging track, and occasionally there are drivers such as yourself that find it somewhat challenging. The track where you are employed is much simpler for the average driver, so I would suggest you stick to your home turf.
I mean, there are a few things to point out here. Firstly, of course, you're going to say that your track is challenging. You own it. I was within a second of your lap record in qualifying, so I wouldn't say it was much of a challenge. Once again, not employed by Team Sport, and the track is more enjoyable than SUPAKART's anyway, mainly because you can actually overtake on it. I don't know. You can really say what you want about a track's layout, but sometimes it's about the experience. Isn't that what it's all about after all in rental karting?
Defamation and slander, where specifics are highlighted, are not merely opinion, so I strongly advise you seek legal assistance.
So it's free speech for SUPAKART, but not free speech for me, the customer. Everybody's entitled to their opinion on something. I was giving you my honest review on the track and the day itself. I highlighted aspects of my experience and showed you the footage of each account. I showed you this literally in the video. I have nothing to gain from this. It's a video blog, sharing my experience with my subscribers on the channel. I'm telling a story of my karting journey. We're all entitled to an opinion after all.
Finally, I reiterate you work for Team Sport.
This was just unbelievable. You're telling me I work for Team Sport? I just want to let you know for the 1000th time that I do not work for Team Sport. And this response was just condescending, aggressive, and just plain nasty from the track, and I just don't know what to say about it anymore. So I made another response, and I asked them if they lost the plot, because they just wouldn't get rid of this idea that I worked for Team Sport. And you know, SUPAKART, look at my other videos. I literally raced in Team Sport's national competition last week, BIKC. I mean, you can't race in it as a staff member. I'm an elite member at the track. I don't work for them. I race there. That's different. I race all around the country, and I choose to race for Team Sport a lot. That's not me working for them. I race with them. I don't know, you know. And I just told them, SUPAKART, you know, why you're attacking just some random customer at this point. Like, you're just telling me I work at a track when I don't. I didn't know what to say, to be honest with you. How do you even respond to those sort of things? Other than making a video like this. So I wanted to quickly address some of the comments that other SUPAKART employees have put on my video. To make it a little more interesting, let's give them a different accent.
Sorry, was your driving not good enough for the track? Don't worry, come again and you can learn from the best. Much love, me.
Thanks Nightcore Night Trap Music, but I'm not sure I'll be taking you up on that offer. Also, I doubt I'll ever learn anything from you, because you'll probably be behind me anyway. So this account made a few responses to other commenters on my video, and here was one about the kart not being out of fuel, despite the fact that I have an email right here from SUPAKART telling me that the kart was out of fuel. It seems like they didn't communicate this part before aggressively commenting on the video itself. They end their comment with a bit of self-promo, and I reminded them once again that I do not work for Team Sport, something that I hoped at this point they were starting to understand. Here is another reply addressed to one of my viewers. In this comment they say that the kart bumps more the more rough you treat the steering. This can be best shown in this clip, where I'm not steering that aggressively at all, and you can see just how much the kart is bouncing around. I'm not really putting that much effort into the steering. The track surface is just doing most of the talking. Trust me, I know smooth tracks and I know rough tracks, and believe me, there are plenty of other tracks around the country that have bumpy surfaces. This isn't a Superkart exclusive, but it's an aspect of the track. This person then ends a comment by asking them, are they not that educated yet? This is such a rude response. I mean, come on, look at this clip. I'm holding on for dear life through the corner, and I'm not even moving the wheel. Attacking my viewers is just poor taste from this person. They're a viewer. They're literally just sharing their view on the video. There's no need to do that. Apparently, it's no shot to this person that I have given Superkart a bad review, because I live in team sport. Glad to see they read the rest of the comments and learned that I do not work for the company, but instead this time I physically live within the track apparently. They then go on to say that I have a bias towards team sport, which is not true. I mean, just straight up not true. They described if I watch the POV I included of the kart running out of fuel, I can see the fuel line towards the top. Well, if you look at the original footage I included in the video, you can't see anything at all. Like, I mean, literally look at this footage zoomed in, you can't see anything at all, so I have no idea what you're referring to with that comment. You finish by describing how it's funny how only one kart ran out of fuel. Yes, because Superkart forgot to fuel the kart. What do you mean it's funny? The kart ran out of fuel. In this clip, you can just see no drivable speed because the kart had no fuel. There's nothing funny about that. This is what happened. At this point, the commenter changed their name to Christopher Ball is my son. Nice to see I'm living in your head rent-free. They describe I've lied on multiple occasions, especially Superkart admitting fault. They say that never happened and I just made it up. I mean, here is an email. This is literally them admitting fault. They are describing that the kart ran out of fuel, which is a kart track's job to do. Like, their job is to refuel the karts. Customers don't refuel their own karts, and they also shouldn't be tampering with the fuel tank itself at any time. So you've been grossly misinformed on that point. And wondering why people are slating you, maybe because the way you act is unprofessional, not to mention gaslighting. The only people that have slated me are Superkart employees. It's at this point I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody who left support on that video to me or in person. I really, really appreciate it, and your support has always been amazing for you, so I can only thank you. I mean, telling me I'm unprofessional, what does this even mean? I'm a YouTuber, this isn't my job. How is it unprofessional? It's literally a review. People do reviews all the time. But in this final message, I described back to them that I literally, and I mean literally, have an email from Superkart describing that the car ran out of fuel. I asked them where is the lie in this, before finally reminding them that it's just Superkart personnel that were hating on this video. They responded with a simple, yet rather hopeful, post it then. And, well, for the last time, ladies and gentlemen, here it is, as requested, the full email a driver received, citing the instant where a car did in fact run out of fuel. And that's it really. That's the story. It's full of petty comments and snide remarks that probably don't paint me in the best picture, and certainly doesn't for Superkart either. This argument is a big, fat waste of time, and quite frankly, I don't want it to continue. This is the last time I ever talk about Superkart on this channel. I think both sides would agree that we want nothing to do with each other, and that's fine. I don't really have much else to say on the situation. I had to respond to this video to clear things up on my side because I was being called a liar. Let me tell you, I was not lying. I made this video as part of my rapid kart journey. When you share a story, you should talk about all the highs and lows along the way. I personally love storytelling, and this was just one small anecdote of a bigger experience. I made a review and I showed you a few of the issues I was experiencing at the time. I quite frankly can't believe I even had to make this follow-up video in the first place. Feel free to further insult me, but it's not going to achieve anything. Well, that's it guys. Thank you for making it this far through the video. I really do appreciate you guys watching my content week in, week out, and I hope to keep bringing you more content in the future. So, thanks guys, and see you soon.